from The Witches by Roald Dahl. It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like, so long as somebody loves you.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. Today, we're diving into This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Matar and Max Gladstone. This is Mallory, today's shipping captain. I'm joined by my Queen Blue, Ariel.
Hello, everyone.
Our Supreme Overlord, Carla, is here to rein us in, kinda.
I will try. I will do my best.
We are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. Zach, our very own commandant-ish, is recording from Seattle, Washington.
I like how you chose me to be basically a creepy, weird robot person.
Well, you are a nerd, so.
Perfect.
Before we get to it, you can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You should give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and check out our podcast Goodreads page, which we have linked on our episode descriptions, along with our personal Goodreads pages. All right, so what did we think about this book?
I love it, obviously, because I was like, we need to read this.
Yeah, she's had this on her demand list for quite a while, and I haven't gotten to it because I'm the worst.
See, this is why the podcast is good, because then I can be like, this is what we're reading. This is happening.
It was such a good book. I listened to it. I tried to read it. I don't know why. I'm just not in a physical or my Kindle book either. Like, I haven't picked either of them up. So I bought it on Audible, which, you know what? Worth it.
Yeah.
I listened to it. Their voices were absolutely just gorgeous the whole time. I fell in love with them. And then I've never shipped two people in a book so hard in my life.
Oh my God.
Ever.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See, I wanted a quick read. Like, how long ago did I read this? A year? Over a year.
It was before 2022 started. It was like maybe at the end of 2022.
I don't know, something like that. But I wanted a quick read because I think I was trying to meet my reading goal. So I got on Pinterest and I searched up quick reads and this was there. And I was like, that sounds interesting. So then I read it. And it is such a romantic book, but in such a violent way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is right up my freaking alley. So I loved it.
And it's so beautiful. The way they write to each other.
It's beautifully written.
Gorgeous.
It was very well written. I like the way they use the words and the different type of words for like colors.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Now, when I started the book, I thought, oh my God, I hate this. And I literally fell asleep like in the last 15 minutes of it. I didn't go back to listen to it again because I was like, I don't like it anyway. But the more I got into it, I loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it. And I was terrified it was going to be like a Romeo and Juliet type thing.
Oh, see, that's what I was worried about when I read it. I was like, no, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
But it was really good, and the words are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I like...
Zach, what did you think?
Okay, so I enjoyed the book all right. I thought that I have issues with it, but overall I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I mean, it's still a good book. It's just, I think it could have been a lot better. Also, I like, Mama, how you said, I like the words. And then just pause.
I couldn't think of any other words. Are hard.
I like the words.
They are this morning.
That's why we don't write.
Good words. I have been awake since 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I am just barely hanging on right now.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's me and 3 a.m. this morning.
I felt...
Okay, so before we...
Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, before we really get into discussing what happens in the book, I wanted to read the back of it so people kind of get an idea. It says, in the ashes of a dying world, Red finds a letter marked to burn before reading. So begins an unlikely correspondence between 2 rival agents in a war that stretches through the vast reaches of time and space. Red belongs to the agency, a post-singularity technotopia. Blue belongs to Garden, a single vast consciousness embedded in all organic matter. Their pasts are bloody and their futures mutually exclusive. They have nothing in common, save that they are the best and they're alone. Now what began as a battlefield boast grows into a dangerous game. One both red and blue are determined to win, because winning's what you do in war, isn't it? Anyways, it's a fantastic book. It's like science fiction romance.
No, it's romance with a splash of science fiction in there.
Splash?
You're a splash of science fiction.
I'm a flood.
That was such a good insult. Oh my God.
Anyway.
We're not allowed to have staff parties before
I died.
podcast ever again.
Definitely not.
I died. That was great. So, I like the time travel aspect and like the whole multiverse. You made me think about Muppets. I know.
Oh my.
You need to talk, Zach.
Okay, so yeah. So I got a bunch of notes based on the book that I took last night, just like to prep for today. I don't know, overall, language, the words too flowery for me, I thought after a while. Like, I mean, a lot of the letters are supposed to be written sort of in haste or quickly or whatever, where they just like do stream of consciousness. But I don't know. It's like the language was like super flowery, super overly.
Clearly, Zach does not have a
Whatever.
poetic bone in his body.
No, I mean, there's the poetry, and then it seems like sometimes they sat down with a thesaurus and just wrote a letter. Like, it didn't feel very natural to me. I don't know.
But you also have to think that
It does
they're
feel-
pretty much immortal, and so they've had a really long time to get their vocabulary to that level.
Yeah, and one of them's like all tech savvy and like essentially linked to
Yeah.
whatever,
that too,
you
yeah.
know, and so
I don't know if
And the
that's
other
not a
one's
very good
connected to
excuse.
consciousness. Of
yeah, like
all
a
living
massive
things.
consciousness.
Yeah, but they can't actually access those things when they're writing these letters because then other people would know about them. They say that
thought they had
explicitly
that
in the
code.
book.
Don't they
think that they
they're
were-
not necessarily connected to the, but like, okay, do you remember stuff, Zach? Do you have memories?
I do have.
Do you know words from when you were a child?
I mean,
No.
again,
Do you
yes.
not know the vocabulary that you learned throughout your life?
Oh my god. You're
thought it
not
was
getting
because
it
they had to
because they
write in
literally
code.
say that they will read their minds. So if they're
I'm just
connecting
saying
to
they had
stuff,
to use code.
Okay, so I don't think that they wrote a lot of them in haste either. I think they really took their time because they had to do it
Secret.
they had to make them really minuscule. They had to hide them in plants and like
Yeah, like-
atoms and like other animals.
Yeah, animals. And like the fact that you think of how long they went in between letters.
they did go a long time in between letters, so maybe they had time to think about it. But every now and then you said, "I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just rambling," or whatever. So I mean, you don't say that when you're like constructing a well thought out letter. Is all I'm saying. Here,
Have you met me?
well,
I was gonna
clearly
say,
you're not very
really?
good at this. Then
Clearly, we have special abilities you don't called
Guys,
ADHD.
It was code. They had to write in code so that no one could figure
I know,
it out.
but why would you ramble in code unless it's being done quickly?
Because they're in love.
Oh my god, whatever.
I think it was. I think it just had to be in code because you could read it a lot of different ways if they just rambled.
Okay, but they also say that they ramble in the letters.
I know. I don't know. That's what I had trouble with the beginning of the
me-
book. I didn't like it because of that. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on here.
Well, yeah,
These people are crazy.
The first chunk
Um,
of this book is like incomprehensible to some degree.
It was. And
No,
that's the
it's
reason I
not.
fell asleep.
I loved it from the beginning. Y'all are
I
weird.
really did too.
I didn't.
I think for
I
me,
thought, I have to finish this. Oh my God. But then I got to like it.
yeah. I really think for me, the whole thing of them rambling is legitimately whenever I get to know somebody, even if it's like talking to them in person, I ramble anyway.
Yeah,
so like
side
I have
quests.
something, yeah, my brain is just one massive side quest. And in case none of us have noticed by now, like I'll be telling a story and then oh no, this happened too, you need to know it for context. Or sometimes a thought just enters my brain. Or somebody says something to me and then a song pops out.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, I would definitely do that. And if I were taking a long time writing something, even if I was already writing something else, I would probably put it in there. Just
See, I've had pen pals where I would take days to write a letter back to them. And by the time, like, I'll write some of it and then I'll put it down for a while and then I'll go back to it and finish the thought real fast and go into something else because...
I think just go back and listen to our podcast and you'll understand why they ramble.
I get why you guys ramble.
Good point.
I get why you guys ramble. I'm saying these people who take hundreds or thousands of years to send a replacement letter or another letter shouldn't be rambling in their supposedly well thought out.
Well, maybe they
letter.
don't. Maybe they don't want to edit that out. Like Red at one point says that she notices that her letters are getting long and asks if Blue would like her to shorten them.
And she says no.
Yeah, like she's aware that it's getting long, but she doesn't want to edit any of that out because she's letting Blue get to know her.
I also think they don't have anyone to talk to.
They don't. They're alone.
Yeah.
It's a chance for them to share themselves.
You don't understand, Zach, because you don't have children, so your life is not cut off from other adults.
God.
But when you meet one, you word vomit.
No, I get
do.
this. I am saying that they have time to be overly flowery and all that junk, but they don't have time to make their
Maybe that's just
letters
how they
good.
talk, though.
I don't think they do.
I don't
no,
think
it's not how they talk because they talk to other people in the book.
I don't think it's overly flowery.
It is overly flowery.
I don't think it's it's not.
I think that they're just being themselves in the letters.
Romantic.
Because they're not themselves. Basically, if you think about it, they're masking, especially whenever they start actually getting into these letters and letting each other in. They're essentially someone else outside. And whenever they're writing these letters, they're themselves and they're letting down walls and they're being more open and willing to share. And so it's like they want to share everything. And I really think that that's, I feel like that makes it more real, personally.
I think killing people for a living would kind of mess with you too. So that's probably another reason they ramble.
I don't think they think of the other people as people. It doesn't seem like it. Maybe they do, but
I think sometimes they did. Sometimes they did.
I don't know. There's this disconnection, it seems like, because they say, well, you kill one person, but then they just come back again. You had to keep doing it over and over and over again. You kill the same people.
Yeah, but I don't think that they ever really are just cool with it.
I don't know.
I think they disassociate as a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously they are, but mentally they just kind of block it out. This is what I do.
I don't know. They didn't seem human to me. Nobody really seems human to me in this book.
At first I thought Red wasn't. I thought she was a robot of some kind or like a cyborg or something.
She kind of is.
But I meant more
robot than human.
Yeah.
I could see something like that. Yeah, it's difficult to say because apparently, at least in hers, they're generally consciousnesses in vats or whatever, and they can just go inhabit different things. But it sounds like she was not in a vat most of the time. But also, they have the rules didn't make a ton of sense to me because they just didn't describe them. I don't know. It's a little confusing.
I think that you are treating this book like people treat movies. That can't happen. It's movie magic.
No, and it's not about that. It's
life.
just they're not consistent, or it doesn't feel like they're describing anything in the actual book. And I wanted to know more about what was actually the world. The world is not described in this at all. The world building is god awful.
No, it's not.
I think that was mostly because they're in so many different places, and times, and
I don't know.
multiverses.
I agree with Zach on this one. It did. I would like to have known what was going on and how it started and all that stuff. I'd like to know a little history of what was.
Yeah, so for example, it's
and put them in context.
Yeah, put it in some sort of a context because the they could do all kinds of weird stuff. They have apparently these superhuman abilities. Fine, whatever. They're from the future. It's cool stuff. But also they can transform into different animals and things. But I don't know why or when that happens or how this works, or if they just occasionally put their brains. Or their consciousness, I guess, inside of something else. Blue was a 6-legged wolf at one point.
Yeah.
That's just weird. I don't know. I was does this make sense?
I thought she could just shapeshift.
Yeah, that's the thing. I couldn't tell if they could shapeshift or whether it was
I think they said that Blue has shape-shifting abilities.
It sounded
At
like
one
that,
point.
but also it sounded like not at sometimes. It seems like
No, I think they like literally said.
I don't remember.
I don't either, but I'm pretty
don't think
sure. Like, I just understood it as.
I don't think
Yeah,
that
well,
she
I'm-
can
I
always shapeshift.
I have not finished my reread of it. So I was listening this morning, and Red had just seen the six-legged wolf, and they kind of
Yeah.
talked about it.
I got confused a lot too on who was writing the letter
Mhm.
It's
and
easy.
who was listening. And then they would go to the person that was listening. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Could you not tell a difference in the voices?
No.
The voices sounded very
Oh,
similar in
man.
the audiobook. I don't know why people kept saying that they sounded so different.
Disagree.
No.
Disagree.
I
sounded
thought it was.
pretty
I didn't know there was two
Disagree.
people. I
Okay.
did not know there was two people reading.
So I told Ariel about this. So Red for me really sounded like Alexa. If you or even like,
Like
maybe Siri, she
Siri or
had
something
like
like
a
that.
very AI kind of voice. I know that she wasn't, but I questioned it a lot. I just like she
She
would say
did.
certain words, and I would just be like, "This is Alexa. I know it is. Like I know she is the voice
You're
of
setting off
Alexa. She
everybody's-
just has to be."
Amazon Echoes.
And who said what?
It said you're setting off everybody's Amazon Echoes.
Oh, probably. You're welcome. But yeah, and then the woman who read for Blue also read for The Bone Witch, and I love her voice. It is
She does have a good voice.
delicious. I don't even know how else to say that. I love her voice. I love how she inflects certain things. There's a massive difference in their voices.
I didn't hear any difference. I thought it was the same person. I did.
Oh my gosh.
I did.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, I love that.
I feel like I missed a big part of this book.
That's because you were busy sleeping. I'm kidding.
I
I'm
was
kidding,
there
I'm
I
kidding, I'm
did.
kidding.
There was at least 15 minutes I totally missed.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I don't know.
It was
It's
a really good book.
I think listening to it would be better than reading it, but I think you could probably follow it better if you read it, just because the language is a little difficult at times.
Might be a
And
good
it's-
tandem read.
And it's easier to go back and look if you're reading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Than
Yeah.
trying to rewind or something. Yeah.
Which that's something that Audible and Kindle Unlimited do now. You can get both for like a really good price and then read them together.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll essentially just stay synced the whole time, which
Yep.
is really cool. But yeah, I think that would probably be a good tandem read.
It probably will be. I don't know. I think my biggest issue with this, aside from the flowery writing, which was flowery, I don't care what you guys say. Lots of people think that it was. Yeah. Anyway, was just the world building itself. Like I wanted more. I don't know. It felt like it should have been either a longer book or it should have been set in a simpler setting. Like I like the fact that there's a term for this. Is it epistolary? Which apparently means that it's written in letters, which I thought was a fun word. Anyway, I like that
I don't
part.
know. I like that it's just letters back and forth.
I mean, well, there's those little
But it wasn't.
interstitial points.
I could have
Yeah.
followed that.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been
I could have
better.
followed it had it been just letters back and forth.
Yeah.
But because it wasn't, I sometimes, especially if I had to stop it and then go back, I couldn't remember who was talking.
Yeah, the parts that aren't the letters, I thought were kind of, I'm not going to say bad, they just weren't great. Like you hop out of the language and you're in this like actual thing where it's supposed to be the plot / the story, and it's them talking to other people or doing other things, and it just seemed kind of extra and not really, I don't know, worth it. Like it doesn't tell you
Okay, so-
anything for the most part.
I feel like I would like more of this, but just because I love them as characters and I want to see them spend the rest of their lives in all of the other places and on the run and
Drinking
fighting
tea
and having dogs
Yeah.
and just being just roommates. But yeah, I loved this so much. I really just I did. I fell in love with each of them, and then I don't want to talk about the ending just because I don't want to ruin anything. Maybe we can save that for the next episode. But yeah, I loved this book. And I think it was flowery writing, but I think that's literally because it's nothing but love letters.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point.
It's very romantic and poetic.
And I agree with that. I
love it. Like, I love that they express themselves in that way, especially with their jobs. Like, they had such hard jobs and they got to be soft with each other.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, they were created to be weapons and they didn't want to be that with each other. I mean, obviously it started out that way, but then it turned into way more than that. And it was just, I thought it was really beautiful to listen to. Like, I pictured it in my head the whole time. I was just like, it was so nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was just chef's kiss.
It really was. So if you were in this world, would you want to be blue or red?
I'd probably want to be blue.
I think I would want to be blue too.
definitely.
I don't want to be either of these nerds.
You have to choose.
You have to pick one, blue or red.
I don't know. I'd probably still go for red. I don't know. I don't really like either of them that
How
much.
did I know?
I don't know.
And you got mad at me earlier.
That's because you told me I was
Not
going to
really
be
mad,
not red, but the Commodore, who sounds like a robot.
Commandant?
Yeah, not Commodore. What was I thinking? Yeah, the Commandant.
A musical group.
The musical group, yeah.
But I think it was mostly because the Commandant was not used to having a body that they acted all weird. I mean, also just the fact that, like,
it wasn't
they're from
that I
the
was
future.
calling you weird. I was just calling you, like, an intimidating nerd.
Oh, thank you.
I'll call you weird.
Oh, thank you.
Not that you're, like, intimidating to me, but just, like, you're just a nerd. It fit.
Yep.
Anyway. All right, so the whole time travel aspect of this, did you guys like it? Was it understandable? Did anything make sense about it?
I liked it.
I
It made
liked
me
it.
think of like Loki and their
Mhm.
time streams.
Yeah.
So
Before when I couldn't talk, what I was trying to say was I really liked that idea of hopping from multiverse to multiverse, 2 different times, and they would call it upstream and downstream, or
Yeah.
thread. Up
Which
thread and
way
down
was
thread.
which way was which? By the way, I kept getting confused as to whether up was future or past. I thought it was future all the time, but
I
then
thought it was
sometimes
too.
That's what
I
I
was
said.
like, but why are they saying? I don't know. It just seemed backwards.
I think it was future.
I think it was future. That's how I read it most of the time, but I thought it was confusing at
But
times.
I think it was just because there were so many different multiverses. She could go to the future and there still be dinosaurs. And that's how I took it. I mean,
Well, I
like
thought
if
that
there are
was the
so
past.
many. No, I think that one was a future
Was it?
one. I think
I think that was a different planet.
because
Yeah.
like that, and they're all different worlds, all different times, and also timelines. It's just I liked it, and it made sense to me because if you do just keep man from evolving at all, probably dinosaurs would still be around, and that would
I'm
be.
pretty sure that was a meteor, bro.
I mean, but there are still dinosaurs that exist from then, so they didn't all die.
I mean, there's chickens
Duh.
and like alligators and
turtles.
stuff, but
And crocodiles. Yeah.
And sharks.
Mm-hmm.
and sharks.
Not
yeah.
dinosaurs.
They're not dinosaurs.
None of
though.
those are
They're
dinosaurs.
not dinosaurs.
They're considered.
You
them
want to
now.
tell me a chicken ain't a dinosaur?
Chickens.
It's not. It may have evolved from
It's
a
a
dinosaur.
dinosaur.
Dinosaur, yeah.
But
I have
that's my
literally heard those words come out of your mouth, though, where you called a chicken a dinosaur.
I called it a little raptor.
Which is a dinosaur.
But yeah, I think it was cool to think about different things like that. What would the world be like if you took this thing out,
Yeah.
or this thing, or this person, or this whole group of people?
And how they had to like think so far ahead or
Yeah.
back or, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we have to have this monk go here to build a sanctuary so this woman can be here so many years later to have a child.
Yeah.
And that child's going to do this.
I liked it when they said sometimes it's not the violence, it's just a word spoken at the right time.
Yeah.
That makes you think about
Mm-hmm.
how things, or how an individual can affect
Yes.
the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was flipping through this book, and can we just discuss the nicknames they give each other? Do you not love them? Like, there is Lapis is what
Blue.
red calls blue.
Mhm.
Red sky at morning.
I love that. No, I thought she called it Sailor's Delight.
She said that too.
Oh, okay.
She's-
Yeah,
I
she
think
said
that's
a couple of
Because I
they,
was like,
Besides,
that was
that's
kinda
Red Skies
cool.
at Night, Sailor's Delight. So,
No.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Price
But it's
greater
still red
than
skies.
rubies.
yeah.
Like, I love how my blueprint.
Yeah.
I love it.
They
like,
did
I
Blue
think they're
Davide
so...
once. That one was kind of lame.
Oh my gosh,
that
yeah,
made me
that
laugh.
cracked up,
I
yeah.
loved some of the little Easter eggs in this. It was really cute.
There's this one, Dear Strawberry. My
Ugh.
apple tree, my brightness. I just love it. I think they're so cute.
Mhm.
And that kind of fits with the weird nicknames because I love to call people weird nicknames.
Same.
And like the longer they take to reply to me, the weirder they're going to get.
Yep.
Like, Dear Soggy Waffle, can you please reply to me?
See, she laughs at me whenever I insult people.
Dude,
because
her
that's-
insults are legit the best. She cracks me up with them. So,
Yeah.
like, it's the same kind of vibe there.
It is. Yep. Yep.
What, a putrid cabbage or something like that you used once? It was fantastic.
I think rotted turnip is probably my fave.
Yeah,
but
she uses that one
I
a lot.
use I use all kinds. There's a really soggy ham sandwich. That one's a good one.
Yeah.
Unseasoned chicken wings.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. She uses these nicknames for violence, and I'm like, I'll start off with like babe, sweetheart, love of my life, chicken cheese, waffle
Cheese, now we know
fries.
what-
Chicken cheese.
Yeah, I was gonna say now we know where the elves' names come from.
Yeah. Well, the reason I get these weird ones is because of my kids. Like the things that they say, I'm just like,
I feel like it's a
I like that.
mutual exchange.
I like that. Well, I mean, we did name all of our cats after food.
Yep. Yeah.
I love it.
Fantastic.
But yes, I love their nicknames for each other in this book. I just thought, like, they just kept getting better and better.
Yeah, I smiled so hard for so much of this book just because they were so stinking cute.
I
It was
know.
just the whole, and I didn't even want to be like gross. It was just the whole time I was like, wow, this is just perfect.
I just kept thinking, clever girl. Because some of the little nicknames were clever.
Very clever.
Like this one is Dearest 000FF,
Yeah, which
is like the code for
yes, for blue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The RGB code.
I loved that.
I didn't get that one.
My careful cardinal,
Ugh.
and which is great because they have that on
Yeah.
the cover. They have
And
a
then at
cardinal
one
and a
point, yeah, they
bluebird.
say that, and then they talk about a jay, a blue jay. Mm-hmm. It was just so nice. Oh, and then, well, no, that's the end. But there was one where she called her like a lake, and then a deep ocean, and like all these other things. It was that letter. But oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I just the whole time was
So romantic.
so romantic and also heart wrenching, and just like
Yeah.
ugh.
Yes.
Okay, what color would you guys be? If you had to choose a color to sign a letter, what would you choose?
I'd probably be gray.
Verdant green.
Verdant green. Why not just green?
Because there's a difference.
You can be green, and then I can name you all of the other different
Okay.
greens in the world.
You know, gray is my favorite color.
Mine too. Sorry, everybody. We're just going to flirt with each other the rest of the episode.
Oh, God, please no. I don't know, purple.
Amazing.
Well, violet, I guess.
What would you be?
I don't know. I was trying to think real quick, and it just my brain's not working.
I think you would be a blue.
I think she would be a blue too.
Probably.
Maybe that's just because she's wearing a blue shirt.
Yeah,
but-
Probably
but
is.
also, like, you wear a lot of blue.
I
feel
do.
like
You do.
you're,
I
think
you're
you-
just a good blue.
Yeah,
Choose that are black.
Black. Psh.
maybe.
It would probably be blue.
Yeah.
All right, Soda Light.
My favorite stone, by the way. You could be lapis. No, I'll be lapis. Labradorite. That's the gray.
Ooh,
Yeah, the
that's
splashy
one. Of my
one.
favorites.
I think
although-
it was emerald.
Wow,
She'd be my
serpentine.
malachite.
Serpentine, yeah.
Ooh, malachite.
That's
Malachite's
my
beautiful.
favorite.
Yeah.
I only got amethyst for purple. Sorry. That's all I can think of right now. My brain really
There's
isn't
other,
working today.
there's other colors.
Fluorite.
Purple.
I think fluorite comes in purple. And
There's other ones for purple.
Are
There
you
are
a
purple-
lilac?
purple
There
sapphires.
you go, lilac. That's pretty good. It doesn't have to be a
What
rock.
else is there?
It could
Lavender?
be something else.
Yeah, it does. The world revolves around rocks.
Like a
The
lavender
world
field.
is a rock.
Yeah.
It is a rock.
Stormy
Connecting to the
clouds.
planet.
Because they kind of turn purpley.
Yeah.
Was it in Purple
Twilight.
Mountain Majesty? There you go. Just call it Mountain Majesty.
Yeah.
Then people get the reference. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That is a good one. That's a good
Eye
one.
roll.
I think I saw my brain there for a second.
Oh my goodness.
I can't think of any more.
Oh, this is like a pretty fun game, really. All these
You could
different
make
colors.
this a game.
Yeah,
it could be a
you
game.
really could.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just kind of feel like we're gonna write each other letters now with just
Well,
names
I
for
mean,
our
you-
colors. It's just a thing.
Okay, getting back to the book.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
I was going to touch on the romance thing a little bit because I thought that, like, before they confessed their love for each other and after, I could see it. It made sense. It felt like there was a gap in the middle somewhere, like, where they built up the rest of the emotion to get from, like, just flirting to loving each other.
Yeah.
It felt like there was a gap. I don't know. It was, like, very sudden. Like, I mean, I liked the stuff afterwards. I liked the stuff before, but just, like, that transition was just, like,
I must
It
have
was
slept
kinda
through that
sudden.
part because
I think.
I saw it from the beginning.
Yeah, I did too. But also, I think that was the whole point because both of them were kind of just like, when did it even happen? Did it happen before I knew you? I feel like I've always known you. And, it's just kind of like, it was a really cool, it was almost like a Pride and Prejudice moment.
I don't know. It felt very
Darcy was
teenagery
like,
to me.
You find out the answer.
Yeah, you do
later.
find out the answer. Well, I questioned a lot of that. Like while that started happening, I was like, wait a minute. I don't want to give it away. I'll wait until the next episode to tell you guys my theory about that. But yeah, I really liked that a lot. I loved this book. I can't say it enough. I don't even know.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it all right,
I
too.
would
It
guess-
was fine. I think it could have been better if it was longer. Or you actually knew about the world at all. It felt like it was a
I
really
really
cool
would
setting
like
that
more.
there just wasn't any description of. But I think that that's intentional, partially because if you actually start examining what they say, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
I think this would be one of those Netflix shows you'd be thinking,
I think it's supposed
Now,
to
what's
be,
going on?
I think it got optioned.
What?
Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
BRB fangirling.
it's probably one of those ones you really need to read the book before you watch so you know you have a clue.
But
Because
they
I
could
think
do
it
so
be
much with that.
They could, but it could be very confusing too.
I feel like, well, yeah, it depends on who picked it up, really.
Yeah. It's one that's going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
I could have swore I read something about this. I don't see it now.
Must have been a different thread.
Must have been.
There you
Oh,
go.
my
Oh my
goodness.
god, the different threads. Okay, so why wasn't there infinite numbers of threads? I don't understand this.
There was.
No, there wasn't. They talked about only up to 1,000 or so. Like if there's infinite, okay, no, it just doesn't make any sense. If there's an infinite number of threads, they shouldn't be fighting over anything. It doesn't make sense. Presumably,
Why
Maybe that
wouldn't
they
they?
only maybe they only worked with 1,000. It's like this is enough.
yeah, but they're vastly different. I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. Where if you start thinking about the actual time travel, branching universes aspect, it doesn't make sense. The numbers don't work out.
Maybe there was 1,000 because the one thread they started with, they have fractured it so many times and changed it and messed with it that that's the number they're at now.
Well, they also say at some point, I don't remember which of them says it, but they say that there's always new branches coming and you don't know what they're coming from or why or when. And so I think it started at one point. I'm assuming anyway. And
It's
just
kind of like the Loki thing.
No, but
That's-
Loki doesn't make any sense
how-
either. But it's also just whatever. They have supposed internal rules that don't make sense.
Oh my gosh! A side note: did you see? Oh gosh, what is Steve Irwin's son's name?
Robert.
Dressed up for Halloween as Loki, and he had one of the crocodiles with
Yes.
the Loki hat on. That
Yes.
was hilarious.
I
loved
love
that.
him.
That's pretty fun, actually. Yeah, I did not see that though.
It's funny. It's on, just you can just type it in, probably the picture would pop up.
Okay, yeah, it has been optioned. I don't know by who. Anyway.
I found something in there, but I didn't see.
I feel like living in that world would be like a real life Mandela effect all the time.
Oh my God.
That'd
Yeah,
be
that
so
would drive me
confusing.
crazy.
Well, I don't think that the people who live on the individual threads notice. I would assume not.
Yeah, I don't
Like
think
the only
so.
way that the future
'Cause-
makes sense is if like they're sort of almost outside of time to some degree.
Mhm.
You don't think you would notice if something went back and changed, or you don't think there would be
I
like
don't-
a catch up?
No, because
Well, I
I
think
don't.
if somebody went back, though, it would.
Or is it instantaneous?
Well,
I
that's
think
the
it would just
question.
kind of like.
We don't know.
I
Yeah.
know.
I mean, if it works like how other things have worked previously, if like is it like Back to the Future, right? Or is it like something else? So, when you travel back in time, if you change something, does that just make you go off into a new branching timeline? Does it change the current timeline you're on? Does it just destroy that timeline and make a whole brand new one? You know, it's just like, eh. Or is there some propagation effect? Like I've seen, man, what is that movie? The one where they go back in time, it's got, they'll like assassinate people by sending them back in time and then they get killed back in the past. What is that?
Looper?
Yeah, Looper.
That was a good one.
And Looper,
I haven't.
right? So you affect stuff in the past. It happens instantaneously in the future, basically, but it's everybody remembering what stuff was like beforehand, or at least everybody who talks remembers what stuff was like beforehand. But also, if you think about that movie too much, it doesn't make any sense either, because the dude's like walking around and then he starts like losing limbs and stuff. So he couldn't have got there in the first place. You know, it's all paradoxical at some point. But it looks
Like
cool.
the butterfly effect.
Oh, the butterfly effect is another good one, but that one's like nobody remembers anything aside from him. He's unique in this sense.
Yeah. Well, he's the only one going back in time and changing stuff.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. These people would have to sort of exist outside of time in order to remember
I think that
anything.
they do.
Yeah. I
Because
thought
at
they
one point
did.
it's referenced, actually a couple of places, they set up their camp at one point in the, I guess it's like the Nazis versus the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I guess the Soviets at that time. And they can't be seen. And they're essentially camping there, but they're on the battlefield and people are fighting around them. And then they just blow it all up.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah. And they kind of just, they kind of do that a couple of times. So I think that I think they are on some sort of like extra plane that just kind of lay themselves on top of it, essentially, where they can like zip through and zip back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, well, they talk about a braid, right? So it's like they exist
Mhm.
sort of, if you take all the timelines that they are interested in, right? And these things they can be changed on an individual timeline, but I guess they claim they weave them all together. I don't know what that means, but whatever. To make their future that they want. It's strange. It's a weird way of thinking about it, but I wanted them to describe it more. But I think that's the reason they didn't describe it more, because it would have been very difficult. And you need a lot more pages in order to be able to do that properly, if that makes sense.
I think that would have taken away from the story they wanted to tell.
It would have, like, it wouldn't have been as much of a just epistolary type of story. It would have been like an actual science fiction novel at that point. Which I guess is not what they wanted to do, but I think that's the reason why I didn't like this book as much, is because it wasn't like, I wanted sci-fi with some romance. I didn't want romance with a splash of sci-fi that doesn't make a ton of sense, personally.
I mean, that's fair, but I loved it.
I don't know how. I mean, it's like if it's a romance, what does it matter what the splash is? I mean, how would that not make sense?
I mean, I just felt like I wanted more of that stuff because it was interesting enough that it was distracting from the romance part.
Oh, okay.
But it
I
wasn't
didn't think it
fleshed
was
out enough to
distracting.
make me actually like the book more.
I feel like my brain just kind of like put it all together and was like, yes.
Yeah. Like, I
just-
didn't have trouble with it at all.
That's because you guys didn't think
I'm
about
one
it
of those-
much. You just accepted
No,
it.
I
just
did,
believe
though. Like,
Just believe
it
it
kind
and
of,
go. Mhm.
I mean, it just made sense for me, though. I didn't really, because I don't really know much about time travel, but they've talked about it in so many different ways That's just like there are probably infinite ways to go about it for them.
And it seemed legit.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know about it. I mean, what do I know? I'm not a time traveler.
And your focus was on them and not the world.
I think that's
that
the issue.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ron and I were watching a movie the other night, and he stopped and he's like, "Did you see that? It was something in the background."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "No, I was watching her expression."
Yeah.
It's like totally focused on completely different things.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the fact of how they wrote their letters, like growing them out of plants or sticking them inside seals?
I thought that was
I
really
thought
neat.
that was
Yeah.
wild. I would love to have actually been able to see that. Like, I would love to have that visualized.
Yeah.
I think that would be so cool to have visualized, even if it's just like cartoon or something. I don't even know. I just think it would be so cool to see.
I thought some of their letters were kind of horrific the way they did them too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
I like
definitely were.
how they were like, "Oh, this is poison, by the way."
Yeah. Haha.
The owl pellet was funny.
I love it.
The bee sting was nice. I just think that and the China.
Yeah.
Oh my
the
gosh.
China.
This was that. I don't know. This was just so full of all kinds of really cool stuff, and I don't know. I thought all of it fit together in a really cool chaos circle.
Just because that's how we live our lives. And
Yeah.
that's why we like it so much.
I think it was neat that they came up with that idea because
think
I don't
so,
think
too.
I would have ever thought of anything like that. And I guess once you start, you would be like, "Oh, we could do this and we could do this," but I would have never made that initial step.
Yeah. Oh man, no, I really thought it was cool, specifically the China one, whenever she was drinking her tea and the tea was the letter.
Yeah.
And every sip she took, it made a different paragraph.
Yeah.
I just thought that was the coolest thing. I loved that so much. That was probably my favorite.
I do wonder how do they do it though?
I know. That's why I want it visualized just so I can
They
'cause I can
write in
just
the molecules.
imagine. Yeah. Like they have to have some sort of rearranging of molecules and
they
atoms and stuff to make it do that.
They definitely like write it in some sort of like thing that they've encoded into the tea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be
Which
something
is-
silly
it's the
like
coolest thing.
the way the temperature fluctuates in the tea or something like that, or the way that the taste interacts with your taste buds or something crazy like that. I don't know. And then you could just take that information and like plot it or whatever and make some language out of it. I don't know. They talked about the languages though. It's like something else, not something that anybody could read who was of the time.
I thought too it was kind of interesting how they were so vastly different. But whatever they used to encode the letters,
It was
the other one
same.
could read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that's because they're at war or
No, I think
I mean,
it's a really good play on like nature versus tech. Like you can manipulate stuff with both nature and tech. Like if you know how to do it.
Yeah.
I think that was just a really, for me, that's how my brain thought of it, was just like they're two sides of the same coin.
It's all using the same basic elements and molecules and
Just in a different way.
atoms or
it's
whatever.
essentially the same thing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, any idea where they were? I actually really wanted to know this. Why in the world were they at war at all?
I don't know.
They just
Control,
are
I
at
guess.
war. But control of what, though? I mean,
The world?
Yeah.
it's clearly not
Timeline.
the same world or the same timeline. So,
That's a
The
timeline.
universe? I don't know. I would think there would be plenty of them. They could have their own, but
Yeah, I don't know why they started the war. And I don't think that they
'Cause we're
really did
human.
either. Yeah, I don't think that they really did either.
No,
they just knew that
yeah.
they were, and they were made to be what they were.
yeah, for some reason
Yeah.
they keep going up and down the same timelines. For whatever reason, because those affect specific things about their individual worlds. I don't know. It's like, it seems
Maybe
like a
that was
strange thing.
just their assigned timelines.
Or I guess we
Yeah.
say worlds, it's more like their individual universes or collections of universes.
I think they were assigned those for specific reasons, because then it was like whenever, well, that one's a spoiler, so we'll talk about it next episode. But yeah, whenever you see how it all unfolds at one point, it's just kind of like, oh, so all of that made sense for them.
Mm-hmm.
for us, we had no idea because we weren't privy to the war, and I think that that's fine. I didn't really want to know because it's pretty grotesque, but it's also, I feel like it would be so much more complicated if you wanted to go into the why and how of that.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it needed to be.
I think they
simpler...
were trying to influence. I think they're trying to influence like whether humanity evolved more garden-esque or more tech, and I think that's what the whole war was about.
I mean, but if they both exist separately from each other, why does it affect it? Why does one thing affect the other thing?
Maybe the authors were trying to point out that's pretty much where we're at now. Do we want to go,
or
like
they're just set in different times?
I think because they're like both sets of time travelers, they could have been exploring and came upon somebody else and was like, spy versus spy. Like, this is mine. This is mine. And they were like, no, it's mine. And so it just started. I feel like that's probably the most feasible because it seems about right for humans.
I thought maybe from where they have different threads that maybe like the main thread that they're working on is like their thread, and at some point in the future it splits.
Yeah.
And one side is garden, one side's Techtopia or whatever. And they're trying to influence it to where
to make sure
their world survives.
One doesn't get cut off
That's
completely.
pretty cool. Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's what I thought maybe it was.
I can understand that to some degree. I think that the issue is that if they've got branching timelines in the first place, if you, like, I don't know, decide to pick your nose a different day, that's going to completely change the timeline. So, why?
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's what caused the branch.
This is a completely different book, but it kind of makes me think of, do you remember whenever we read Life After Life?
Yes.
It kind of is like that. She redoes her life
over and over.
Until she gets it.
Right, yeah.
Until she gets it right. And that kind of feels like that.
Yeah, because she
made a different decision every time.
She got left outside as a baby and died. So then it reset.
She made it.
What is this book?
She fell out of
Life After Life, you said?
It's
Life After... Yeah.
By Kate Atkinson. It's so good.
Yeah, and she makes it a little farther, and then like something else happens, or like one of her siblings die or something like that. So she makes a different choice and it resets. So like at one point she gets pregnant.
Yeah.
And
does she live on her whole life?
She goes to have an abortion.
I think so.
And something goes wrong and she gets an infection and she dies.
Yeah.
So it resets.
Okay. But it's really cool because every time she gets to a point where she had died previously, something stopped her from making the same decision. And it wasn't always, she didn't know why, but she just kind of was like, I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And it was really cool how that book worked. And it kind of makes me feel like this. Because it's like, if you do restart the same timeline, do you just start over from the beginning again or just where you last picked up?
There's a similar book called The First 15 Lives? 1 second. Yeah, First 15 Lives of Harry August. It's a similar sort of thing. And it's basically he starts off at the same sort of life, right? And he lives through his life, he dies eventually, and then it resets again, right? But there's a bunch of people who do this sort of thing. And it can shift slightly where you were born and when you die, but you live in basically the same section of life all the time. You just remember, well, in his case, he remembers everything from his previous life, which is interesting. But it sounds like a similar sort of, at least idea to the one that you guys are talking about. You guys should check it out.
Yeah. I really, really highly recommend Life After Life. It's so good. We have it in the library. It's so good.
Yay.
It was one that we'd read for book club.
Yeah.
And I had found it out there and I was like, this sounds really interesting. And it's like, it's fairly confusing at the very first because you don't know why it keeps having this little baby born like 5 times. And then you finally figure it out. But yeah, it's a really good book. And I like the whole, and what she does with her life.
Yeah.
She goes after Hitler. It's really nice.
No spoilers there.
It's not really because it starts out at the beginning. It kind of makes a full circle moment. But yeah, it's really cool. Highly recommend.
Kind of like that Tom Cruise one where he has to, every time he gets killed.
Yeah, isn't that like Tomorrow, Yesterday or something
Edge of
that?
Tomorrow.
I don't know. Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, it's basically
What
Groundhog's
did I
Day.
say? Yesterday, tomorrow?
You said yesterday, tomorrow, yeah. It's Groundhog's Day, right?
Which would have made sense too.
All these things
Yeah.
are just Groundhog's Day, but
Yeah.
done differently. Apparently there's a bunch of different books like that, but this one, Life After Life, apparently won Goodreads historical fiction in 2013.
Ooh.
And then the first 15 Lives of Harry August was a nominee for the best science fiction of 2014.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay, that sounds like that might be our wrap up. So our next episode is going to be our part 2 of This Is How You Lose the Time War discussion. That will be our spoiler episode. So don't say we didn't warn you. You do have another week to give this a listen, and then also see if you can squeeze in a quick read. It is a really quick read. I highly recommend it. I know Ariel does, and really that's all that matters. We are going to be starting our new season after part 2, so get ready for that. We will be doing like a reintroduction. We're kind of going to talk a lot about ourselves and more of what we like to read, so what you can expect definitely from us. That's going to be it for us. Thank you for joining. Before we sign off, just a reminder, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shush you.